The alarm bells rang through the research station like angry metal birds. Commander Deho rushed from his quarters, his blue uniform still wrinkled from sleep. The corridor lights flashed red and white, telling everyone that something big was happening. "Sure, we found them," said Bioram, her young face bright with excitement. She stood at the main computer, her fingers dancing over the glowing buttons. "A new species. They call their world Earth." Deho moved closer to look at the screen. The planet looked small and blue, covered with white clouds that moved like slow dancers. It sat in the third position from a yellow star right in the zone, where water could stay liquid, perfect for life. "How long have they been watching the stars?" Deho asked. "Not long, sir. Maybe 50 years with radio signals. They just sent their first people to their moon about 200 years ago. Very slow progress." Borum touched another button. "They have no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields. Their biggest ships barely leave their home system."
Elder.
Diplomat Kungman walked into the room, his old bones making soft sounds with each step. His gray hair was pulled back in the traditional way, and his eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen many worlds rise and fall. "Patience, young ones," Kungman said, his voice like autumn leaves. "The Prime Directive exists for good reasons. We must not interfere with species who are still learning to walk among the stars." Admiral Wu Jin laughed from the doorway. He was a big man with scars on his hands from old battles. His red uniform showed his high rank in the Council fleet. "The Prime Directive is for species that might be dangerous, old man. Look at them." He pointed at the screen. "They still fight wars with chemical explosives. They burn fossil fuels. They argue about whether their planet is getting warmer." Bioram nodded quickly. "Admiral Wu Jin is right, Elder Kungman. These humans need our help. Their technology is so basic. We could teach them about clean energy, space travel, medicine. That could save millions of lives." "And what do we get in return?" Wu Jin asked, but his smile said he already knew the answer. Deho studied the data flowing across the screen. Earth had large amounts of rare metals. The third planet from their sun was covered in iron. The fourth planet, which the humans called Mars, had deposits of quantum crystals that could power Council ships for decades. "Their population is growing fast," Deho said, reading the numbers. 8 billion humans and counting. But they only use a small part of their world's resources. The rest just sits there, waiting. Waiting for people who know how to use it properly, Wu Jin added. King Dashmin shook his head. "You speak like the Devourers did long ago. Take what you want because you are stronger. That path leads to darkness." Everyone knew the stories about the Devourers. It's the ancient enemy that had eaten entire star systems before disappearing into the black void between galaxies. They had vanished over 400 years ago, but their memory still made people afraid. "Is different," Wu Jin said, but his voice was softer now. "We offer partnership, not conquest. Trade, not theft. We help them grow instead of keeping them small." Bioram pulled up more information about the humans. "Look at their art, their music, their stories. They dream about meeting people from other worlds. They want to join something bigger than themselves." Screen showed images from Earth, cities full of lights, ships crossing dark oceans, humans looking up at the night sky with instruments that could see far into space. They looked so hopeful, so ready to learn. They had been alone for so long. Bioram continued. "Imagine how happy they will be when they discover they are not the only thinking beings in the universe." Deho felt something pull at his heart. He remembered his own world's first contact with the Galactic Council. The joy, the wonder, the sudden knowledge that the universe was full of friends they had never met. Every Council species had that same beautiful memory. "What about their governments?" Kungman asked. "Do they speak with one voice?" "No, Elder. They have many nations, all separate. Some work together, others argue. But our experts believe we can bring them together under Council guidance, give them common goals, shared technology, reasons to cooperate instead of fight." Wu Jin walked to the window that looked out at the stars. "The Council voted yesterday. 15 systems in favor, 3 against, 2 abstaining. We begin gentle integration protocols immediately." "What does that mean?" Deho asked. though he suspected he already knew. First, we send cultural ambassadors, scientists, teachers, healers. Show them we come in peace, and we offer technology exchanges, clean energy for mining rights, medical knowledge for quantum crystal deposits, fair trades that help everyone. Bjorn's eyes sparkled. I volunteer to be part of the first cultural mission. I have studied their languages, their customs. I know I can help them understand. And I will oversee the resource agreements, Wu Jin said. Make sure both sides benefit properly. Kungmin remained quiet for a long moment, staring at the image of Earth on the screen. Finally, he spoke. There is something strange about their system. Strange how? Daeho asked. Look at the electromagnetic readings from their outer planets. See these patterns? Kungmin pointed to lines of data that meant nothing to most people, but he had studied such things for decades. This is not normal solar activity. It looks almost artificial. Wu Jin waved his hand dismissively, probably just interference. From their primitive industrial activities, nuclear power plants, radio transmissions, early space stations. Nothing to worry about. Perhaps Kyungmin said, but he did not sound convinced. BORM was already planning. We should start with their larger population centers. It's places like their cities called New York, London, Tokyo, Seoul. Show ourselves to their leaders first. Then gradually reveal ourselves to everyone. Good thinking, Daeho agreed. Slow and careful. Let them get used to the idea before we change their whole world. 3 days later, the first council ships left for Earth. They traveled through the space between spaces, moving faster than light itself. Soon they would arrive at the small blue world carrying gifts of knowledge and friendship. None of them noticed the strange way their instruments flickered when they calculated the journey to Earth's solar system. None of them wondered why their long-range sensors could not see past the orbit of the humans. Outermost planet, they were too excited about meeting a new species to ask the right questions behind them. The research station continued its work, cataloging the resources of the human system, planning integration protocols, and preparing for what they all believed would be another successful first contact. Elder Kyungmin remained at his post, staring at the electromagnetic readings that made no sense. Something was wrong, but he could not say what. Patterns looked almost like a barrier. That was impossible. No species had the power to build barriers around entire star systems. That kind of technology had died with the Devourers. 3 years had passed since the Galactic Council ships first arrived at Earth. The blue planet now hosted 17 development zones across its surface, each one buzzing with activity as council teams worked alongside human partners. Anthropologist Haejin walked through the streets of New Geneva, one of the newest development cities. The morning air smelled of fresh concrete and alien flowers that the council had brought as gifts. Human children ran past her, laughing as they chased small floating lights that served as both toys and learning tools. Dr. Haejin called the human voice behind her. She turned to see Director Martinez, one of Earth's liaison officers. His smile was warm, but his eyes looked tired. The morning briefing is ready. They entered a building that mixed human architecture with council technology. The walls could change color based on the mood of the people inside. Right now they glowed a soft blue, meaning everyone felt calm and productive. How are the education programs going? Haejin asked, as they walked down the hallway. Better than expected, Martinez replied. The children learn our new mathematics very quickly. Sometimes too quickly. Yesterday, 12-year-old girl solved a quantum mechanics problem that should take university students months to understand. Haejin felt a small worry in her chest, but she pushed it away. Humans are very adaptable. That is why they will do so well in the galactic community. They reached the briefing room, where other council members waited. Engineer Taeho sat at the large table, his uniform dusty from another day in the Sahara Desert. His mining operation there was pulling rare metals from deep underground, metals that Earth's humans had never learned to reach. Good morning, Taeho, Haejin said, sitting beside him. How's the extraction going? Very well, he answered, but his voice sounded puzzled. We are pulling up materials that should not exist naturally on a planet this young. Quantum crystals that take millions of years to form, refined metals that look almost processed already. Perhaps Earth's formation was different than we thought, Haijin suggested. Perhaps, Taeho said, but he did not sound convinced. The door opened, and Saw-young entered. She was a council operative, which meant she watched and listened for things that might cause problems. Her job was to make sure the integration went smoothly and safely for everyone. "We need to talk," Saw-young said, her voice serious. She activated a privacy field around the table, so no one outside could hear them. "I have been reviewing the reports from all development zones. There are patterns that worry me." Haijin leaned forward. "What kind of patterns?" Young touched. Her datapad and images appeared in the air above the table. "Look at these military installations." The pictures showed Earth's army bases, Navy ports, and Air Force facilities. 3 years ago, they had simple weapons and basic vehicles. Now look. The new images made everyone gasp. Earth's military had advanced incredibly fast. Their soldiers carried energy weapons that looked almost like council technology. Their vehicles moved without making sound. Their aircraft could disappear from sensors completely. "How is this possible?" Taeho asked. "They say we taught them," Saw-young replied. "Every improvement, every advance, they claim, came from our educational programs. But I have checked the records. We never shared this level of military technology with them." Martinez shifted in his chair. "Perhaps they developed these things themselves, using the basic principles you taught them." "In 3 years?" Saw-young asked. "It took the Council's best scientists 50 years to create stealth aircraft. It took us a century to develop portable energy weapons. Humans did it in 3 years, using what they call inspired engineering." Haijin felt that worry in her chest growing stronger. "What else have you noticed?" "They're questions," Saw-young said. "Human scientists and military leaders ask very specific things about our ships. They want to know about shield frequencies, engine weaknesses, communication protocols. They say it is for compatibility purposes, but it sounds like intelligence gathering," Taeho finished. "Exactly, and there is something else. Something they call the barrier." Everyone looked at Saw-young with confusion. "What barrier?" Martinez asked. "I do not know, but I hear humans talking about it when they think we cannot understand. They speak in their local languages, not the common tongue. We taught them. They ask questions like, how much longer will the barrier hold, and what happens when they find out about the outer system?" "The outer system?" Haijin asked. "Their solar system has 8 planets, but our deep scans can only clearly see the inner 4. Beyond that, everything becomes fuzzy, like static on an old radio. Our technicians say it is just solar interference." Taeho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human workers operated mining equipment that should have taken them years to understand. They moved with the confidence of people who had used such tools their whole lives. "There is something else," he said quietly. "The materials we are extracting. Some of them have artificial markers, like they were placed there on purpose. The mines themselves. It is almost like someone prepared them for us. The access tunnels were too easy to dig. The mineral deposits were too easy to find." "I've been thinking the same thing about the development zones. The humans suggested every location we built on. They said these places were perfect for our needs. But now I wonder if they guided us to exactly where they wanted us to be." Martinez looked uncomfortable. "You are suggesting that we are not in control of this integration, that somehow humans are managing us instead of the other way around." "I am saying we should be more careful," Saw-young replied. "Yesterday, I tried to access their global communication network to check something, but I found layers of encryption that should not exist. Security protocols that use mathematics we have not taught them." "What did you find?" Haijin asked. "Is the problem? I found nothing. It was like hitting a wall made of mirrors. Everything reflected back, but nothing showed what was really behind it. The room became very quiet. Through the windows they could see human children playing with council technology, human workers using advanced tools, human teachers explaining concepts that seemed to come naturally to them." "What should we do?" Taeho asked. "Keep watching," Saw-young said. "Keep learning, but also keep questioning." The humans seem happy to have us here, but I am starting to think we are not the teachers in this relationship. Then what are we? Martinez asked. Soyoung looked out at the bustling development zone, where humans and council members worked side by side, building what everyone believed was a better future. I think we might be the students, she said. The question is, what exactly are they teaching us? That night, Haijin could not sleep. She walked through the quiet streets of New Geneva, looking up at the stars. Earth's moon hung in the sky like a white pearl, but something about it looked wrong. It seemed too bright, too perfect. She activated her personal scanner and pointed it at the moon. The readings made no sense. The moon was not made of rock like most moons. It was made of metal and materials that should not exist in nature. As she stared at the impossible readings, a human woman walked up beside her. She was old, with gray hair and kind eyes. Beautiful night, the woman said in perfect council language. Yes, Haijin replied. Very beautiful. But I was wondering about your moon. It seems unusual. The old woman smiled. Oh, that old thing. We have had it for a very long time. It's much longer than most people remember. How long? Haijin asked. The woman looked at her with eyes that suddenly seemed much older and wiser than before. Long enough, dear. Long enough. Then she walked away, leaving Haijin alone, with her scanner and her growing list of questions that had no good answers. Council Intelligence Officer Dong-Su floated in the darkness near Jupiter, the largest planet in Earth's solar system. His stealth ship was almost invisible, hidden among the shadows of the giant planet's many moons. He had come here to investigate the strange energy readings that kept appearing in council reports for weeks. His instruments had detected unusual signals coming from this area. The readings made no sense according to everything the council knew about primitive human technology. He would find the source. The computer began deep scan of the surrounding area, he whispered, not wanting to risk even the smallest chance that someone might hear him. The scanner worked silently, sending invisible waves through space to map everything within 1,000,000 kilometers. What it found made Dong-Su's blood turn cold. A structure floated in space near Jupiter's orbit. It was enormous, larger than most council space stations. The design was sleek and advanced, covered in weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But according to every council record, humans had never built anything larger than a small space station near their own moon. Computer, identify the vessel, Dong-Su said, his voice shaking. Vessel classification unknown. Technology level appears to exceed current council standards. Estimated crew capacity, 15,000. Weapon systems, extensive. Age of construction, approximately 200 years. 200 years. Humans were supposed to have just reached their own moon 200 years ago. They were not supposed to have massive warships floating in their outer system. Before Dong-Su could process this information fully, alarms began ringing in his ship. His stealth systems were failing. Something was jamming his technology with methods that should not exist. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Jinho of the Earth Defense Ship. Soul's Pride. Please identify yourself and state your purpose in our territory. The voice came through Dong-Su's communication system with perfect clarity, using advanced council military protocols. Dong-Su's hands trembled as he realized his stealth ship had been detected and trapped by technology that was supposed to be impossible. I am Council Intelligence Officer Dong-Su, he replied, knowing he had no choice but to answer. I am conducting routine surveys of this solar system as part of the integration protocol. Integration protocol? The human voice sounded amused. Is that what you call it? Please prepare to be brought aboard, Officer Dong-Su. We have much to discuss. A beam of energy reached out from the massive human ship and gently pulled Dong-Su's vessel toward a docking bay. The process was smooth and careful, showing a level of technical skill that made Dong-Su's head spin with confusion as his ship settled into the docking bay. Dong-Su saw hundreds of other vessels around him. Some looked like council ships, but they had been modified with technology he did not recognize. Others were purely human design, sleek and deadly looking. All of them were larger and more advanced than anything humans were supposed to possess. The airlock opened and Captain Jinho stepped inside. He was a middle-aged human with calm eyes and a uniform that looked both military and practical. He moved with the confidence of someone who had spent decades in space, not someone from a species that had barely left their home world. "Welcome aboard the Soul's Pride," Officer Dong-Su Jinho said in perfect council language. "I apologize for the dramatic introduction, but we could not let you report what you saw here." "Not yet." "How long have you been building ships like this?" Dong-Su asked, still trying to understand what he was seeing. "We have been spacefaring for over 3 centuries, Jinho replied casually, as if this was common knowledge. "Much longer." "Then we told your council friends, but that is impossible. Our first contact teams found you using primitive chemical rockets. You had no faster-than-light travel, no advanced weapons." Jinho smiled sadly. "We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see. Come, let me show you something that will help you understand." They walked through corridors that hummed with advanced technology. The walls displayed star maps that showed not just Earth's solar system, but hundreds of other systems marked with symbols and notes. Some systems were marked in red with warnings written in multiple languages. "This is our situation room," Jinho said, leading Dong-Su into a large chamber filled with holographic displays. "From here, we coordinate the defense of not just Earth, but this entire section of the galaxy." "Defense against what?" Dong-Su asked, though part of him already feared the answer. "The Devourers," Jinho said simply. The name hit Dong-Su like a physical blow. Every child in Council Space knew stories about the Devourers, the ancient enemy that had consumed entire civilizations before vanishing mysteriously over 400 years ago. Most adults believed they were just myths, scary stories to teach children about the dangers of the unknown. "The Devourers are gone," Dong-Su said weakly. "They disappeared centuries ago." "They were not gone," Jinho corrected. "They were waiting. And we have been preparing for their return." Jinho activated a holographic display that showed Earth's solar system. But this was not the system that Council surveys had mapped. This system was surrounded by a perfect sphere of energy that stretched from the sun too far beyond the orbit of the outermost planet. "This is the barrier," Jinho explained. "It was built by the last Free Alliance over 400 years ago, just before the Devourers consumed them. Earth was sealed inside, protected but also trapped." "Why?" Dong-Su asked. "Because humans were the only species the Devourers could not fully defeat. We were too stubborn, too violent, too unwilling to give up. The Alliance sealed us away so that when the Devourers returned, there would still be someone ready to fight them." Dong-Su stared at the display, his mind struggling to accept what he was seeing. "So you have been alone all this time, preparing for war?" "Yes. For over 4 centuries we have built fleets, developed weapons, studied every piece of information we could gather about Devourer tactics. We turned our prison into the ultimate military academy. But then why did you let us make contact? Why pretend to be primitive?" Jinho's expression became grim. "Because we detected Devourer technology in your ships." The words made Dong-Su feel sick. "That is impossible. The Council would never use Devourer technology." "Not on purpose," Jinho agreed. "But look at this." He activated another display showing detailed scans of Council ships. "Your quantum cores. The power sources that allow faster-than-light travel. Do you know where that technology originally came from?" Dong-Su thought about it. "The cores were developed by the Nexus Corporation about 300 years ago. They found the basic principles in some ancient ruins." "Ancient Devourer ruins," Jinho said. "The quantum cores are not just power sources, they are beacons. Every time a Council ship activates its faster-than-light drive, it sends a signal into deep space, signal that says, here is a populated galaxy, full of species ready for consumption." The room seemed to spin around Dong-Su. "You were saying the Council has been calling the Devourers back?" "For 3 centuries, yes. Your expansion across the galaxy has created a perfect map of populated worlds. Your trade routes have shown them the best paths for invasion. Your peaceful integration policies have made sure no species is prepared for real war. But you could have warned us. You could have told us the truth." Jinho shook his head. "We tried in the beginning. But every time we sent messages beyond the barrier, they were intercepted and destroyed. The Devourers had agents throughout the galaxy, making sure no one learned the truth about what was coming. "So what is your plan?" Dongsu asked. Jinho replied, "We'll let you continue doing exactly what you have been doing. The Council's expansion brings more and more species under a single government. Your trade routes create supply lines we can use. Your peaceful policies mean no one suspects what is really happening. And when the Devourers return, they will find not a collection of unprepared peaceful species, but a galaxy that has been secretly organized for war by people who have spent 400 years learning how to kill them." Dongsu looked around the Situation Room again, seeing it with new eyes. The star maps were not just navigation charts, but they were battle plans. The ship configurations were not exploration vessels. They were weapons of war designed specifically to fight an enemy that had destroyed entire civilizations. "How many ships do you have?" he asked quietly. "In this system alone, about 50,000 combat vessels. Hidden bases throughout the galaxy, another 200,000. Plus support ships, supply vessels, and mobile construction platforms. And the Council never detected any of this? You detected exactly what we wanted you to detect. A primitive species with basic technology, eager to learn from their advanced galactic neighbors." Ginho walked to a window that looked out into space. Beyond the glass, Dongsu could see dozens of human ships moving, in perfect formation, conducting exercises that looked like an intricate dance of death. "The barrier is weakening," Jinho said quietly. "Our scientists estimate it will fail completely within the next 2 years. When it does, the Devourers will come. They will expect to find the same galaxy they left behind, full of peaceful species, with no real military capabilities. Instead, they will find Earth's children ready for war." "Yes," Jinho said. "And Officer Dongsu, you have a choice to make. You can try to warn the Council about what you have learned here. You can tell them that humanity has been lying for 3 years and that an ancient enemy is returning. They will not believe you, and valuable time will be wasted." "Or," Dongsu asked, though he suspected he knew the answer, "or you can help us. Work with us to make sure the galaxy is as ready as possible for what is coming. Help us save everyone, including the Council species who unknowingly helped bring this disaster upon themselves." Dongsu looked out at the human fleet, thinking about his own people back on the research station. They had no idea what was coming. None of the Council species did. They were all living in a peaceful dream that was about to become a nightmare. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. Jinho smiled, and for the first time it looked like a smile of hope instead of grim determination. "Help us make sure that when the seal breaks, we are ready to give the Devourers the surprise of their very long lives." Council scientist Yunji had not slept for 3 days. She sat in the hidden laboratory beneath Antarctica's ice, surrounded by human researchers who worked with the desperate energy of people running out of time. The data on her screens told a story that made her hands shake with fear. "Show me the population numbers again," she said to Dr. Kim, the human scientist who had become her closest ally since Dongsu had brought her into humanity's secret. Dr. Kim activated the holographic display. "Every major human city sits above military complexes that go down 30 levels or more. New York has underground factories that can build 1,000 fighter ships per day. London has weapon storage facilities that stretch for hundreds of kilometers. Seoul has training centers where we have been preparing soldiers for centuries." "How many people know the truth?" Yonjae asked. "Everyone above the age of 16 learns the real history," Dr. Kim replied. "The younger children live normal. Lives until they are old enough to understand what is at stake. Could not risk anyone accidentally revealing our preparations." Admiral Suho entered the laboratory, her uniform bearing symbols that Yunji now knew represented not Earth's primitive military, but the most advanced fighting force in the galaxy. Suho was humanity's true military leader, the person who had spent her entire life preparing for a war that most species believed was just ancient history. "The Council politician Chan Wu is asking difficult questions," Suho reported. "He suspects something is wrong with the integration program. His investigators are getting too close to some of our facilities." What kind of questions? Yunji asked. He wants to know why human manufacturing can produce advanced technology so quickly. Wants to inspect our deep space monitoring stations. He's starting to question why our population seems so calm about meeting alien species. Dr. Kim laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. Calm? We have been expecting this contact for decades. Our children grow up with stories about the day when the galaxy would find us again. Of course we seem calm. Ho walked to a wall display that showed Earth's true defensive network. Hidden satellites surrounded the planet in layers. Weapon platforms disguised as space debris floated throughout the solar system. Mobile battle stations waited in the asteroid belt, ready to move at a moment's notice. Chanwoo's team examined some of our art yesterday, Suho continued. They are starting to realize that our paintings and sculptures contain technical diagrams. Our music includes mathematical formulas. Our literature describes military tactics that should not exist in a peaceful society. What did you tell them? Yunji asked. The same thing we always tell curious council members. Humans are naturally creative and imaginative. We like to dream about impossible things. Yunji studied the displays around her. What the council had dismissed as human creativity was actually the most sophisticated information storage system she had ever seen. Centuries of military knowledge had been hidden in plain sight, encoded in art, music, stories, and cultural traditions. Your mythology, she said suddenly. The stories about gods and heroes and monsters. They are not myths at all, are they? No, Dr. Kim confirmed. They are tactical manuals. The story of Odysseus teaches navigation and resource management. During long campaigns, the legend of King Arthur describes command structure and loyalty in military units. The tale of David and Goliath explains how small forces can defeat larger enemies. And your religions? Organizational systems for maintaining hope and discipline during centuries of preparation. Every major human religion includes teachings about patience, sacrifice, and preparing for a great final battle between good and evil. Suho activated another display showing the Galactic Council's expansion patterns over the past 3 centuries. Look at this. Every route the Council has taken, every world they have colonized, every trade agreement they have made. It follows exactly the same pattern that the Devourers used during their last invasion. Yunji felt sick as she realized what this meant. The Council has been rebuilding the Devourer Empire without knowing it. Exactly. The quantum technology that powers Council ships does more than just call the Devourers back. It makes sure that when they return, they will find a galaxy organized exactly the way they prefer it. Centralized government, connected worlds, peaceful populations with no real military training. But you let this happen, Youngji said. Could have stopped it. We could not stop it without revealing ourselves, Suho explained. And if we had revealed ourselves too early, the Devourer agents hidden throughout the galaxy would have warned their masters. Our only advantage is surprise. Dark. Kim pulled up files that showed the true scope of humanity's preparations. We have been placing our people throughout the galaxy for over a century. Every major council world has human advisors, teachers, traders, or researchers. People who seem helpful and friendly, but who are actually gathering intelligence and preparing for the day when war comes. How many? Yunji asked. Over 10 million humans live outside Earth's solar system. All of them trained soldiers who can activate hidden weapon caches and communication networks when the time comes. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had not just been preparing to defend Earth, they had been preparing to turn the entire galaxy into a battlefield where they held every advantage. What about the other species? Yunji asked. The Vulcans, the Nexari, the Centaurians. Are they all going to die when the Devourers return? Suho's expression softened slightly. We hope not. That is why we allowed the Council to make contact. We need the other species to survive this war, but they must be organized and prepared. The Council's integration program has given us a way to study every major species in the galaxy, to understand their strengths and weaknesses, to plan how they can best contribute to the fight. You have been using us, Yunji said. Yes, Suho admitted, but not to harm you, to save you. When the Devourers come, they will expect to face the same kind of resistance they encountered 400 years ago. Individual species fighting, alone, using traditional tactics, with no real understanding of what they are facing. Instead, they will face a unified galaxy that has been secretly organized by people who have studied their methods for centuries. Yes, and Yunji, your people, will have a choice. You can try to fight this revelation, try to expose humanity's deception to the galaxy. Some species will believe you, others will not. Time and energy will be wasted on political arguments while the real enemy approaches. Or you can help us. Use your position in the council to make sure the right preparations are made without revealing the full truth. Help us make sure that when the final battle comes, every species in the galaxy is ready to fight and win. Yunji looked around the laboratory again. Human scientists worked alongside computers that could process information faster than anything the council possessed. Engineers designed weapons that could destroy targets across multiple dimensions. Strategists planned battles that would take place on thousands of worlds. Simultaneously, these were not the primitive humans that the council believed they were helping. These were apex predators who had spent 4 centuries turning their isolation into the ultimate advantage. The barrier, she said. When will it fail? Soon, Dr. Kim replied. Our projections show complete failure within 18 months. When it falls, every Devourer ship in the dark space beyond the galaxy will know that Earth is no longer protected, along until they arrive. Based on their previous invasion patterns, they will send scout ships first. Those will arrive within 6 months of the barrier's failure. The main invasion force will follow within 2 years. Suho walked to the window that looked out over the hidden base. Through the ice above, Yunji could see the lights of what looked like a research station. In reality, it was one of hundreds of command centers that would coordinate humanity's response to the coming war. We have spent 400 years preparing for this fight, Suho said. We have planned for every possible scenario. It's developed weapons for every type of enemy, trained soldiers for every kind of battle. We have turned our entire civilization into a war machine that exists for one purpose. To make sure that never again destroy a populated world. And when this war is over, when the galaxy is safe, humanity will gladly return to being the peaceful species we once were. But until that day comes, we are what we need to be. What are you? Yunji asked. Suho smiled, and for a moment, Yunji could see the predator that lived behind human eyes, the hunter that had been waiting patiently for its prey to return. We are the species that the Devourers could not kill, Suho said, and we are very much looking forward to reminding them why. The day the barrier fell, every human in the galaxy felt it happen. General Meng-He stood on the bridge of the command ship Hidden Dragon, watching through the view screen as the energy field that had protected Earth for 4 centuries flickered and died like a candle in the wind. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency, but she could see the mixture of relief and terror in their eyes. After 400 years, humanity was no longer alone. General, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 Council worlds, reported Communications Officer Park. They detected our fleet movements and assume we are launching an invasion. Myung-Hee almost laughed. The Council species still did not understand what was happening. They saw thousands of human ships emerging from Earth's solar system and thought this was some kind of conquest. They had no idea that humanity was racing to save them from something much worse. Send the standard response, she ordered. Tell them we are not their enemy. Tell them to prepare their populations for emergency evacuation procedures. Tell them the real war is about to begin. Admiral G1 of the Council fleet appeared on the communication screen, his face pale with shock and confusion. Behind him, Myung-Hee could see Council officers running back and forth in panic. General Myung-Hee, Juan said, his voice shaking. We demand an explanation. Our sensors show over 3 million human ships leaving your solar system.
Are you
invading Council space? Admiral Juan Muyang, he replied calmly. We are not invading anyone. We are positioning our forces to defend the galaxy against the enemy that your people have been calling back for 3 centuries. What enemy? What are you talking about? Before Meng He could answer, every alarm on both ships began screaming. At once, the space between galaxies, which had been empty and dark for 400 years, suddenly filled with contacts. Thousands of them, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The Devourers had returned. Admiral Meng He said quietly, "Look at your long-range sensors, and you will see what we have been preparing for." G1 turned to his sensor station, and Meng He watched his face change as he saw the readings. The Devourer fleet was massive, beyond imagination. Ships the size of cities moved through space like a dark tide, heading directly toward the populated worlds of the galaxy. "How long have you known?" G1 asked, his voice barely a whisper. Meng He replied, "We have been waiting for this day since before your species achieved spaceflight. And you said nothing? You let us build our civilization without warning us? We tried to warn the galaxy long ago. The Devourer agents made sure our messages never arrived, so we changed our strategy. Instead of warning you, we decided to save you." The view screen changed to show the tactical display. Human fleets were moving throughout the galaxy with precision that spoke of centuries of planning. Every major population center had human ships moving to defend it. Every strategic resource had human forces securing it. Every possible invasion route had human battle groups waiting in ambush. "This is impossible," G1 breathed. "No species can have this many ships. No military can coordinate operations across an entire galaxy. Admiral, humanity has been preparing for this single battle for 400 years. Every ship we built, every soldier we trained, every weapon we developed was designed for this moment. We have turned our entire civilization into a war machine whose only purpose is to kill Devourers." The first contact between human and Devourer forces happened near the rim world of Kepler 4b. Council sensors watched in amazement as human ships did not just fight the invaders, but hunted them with the precision of apex predators, human vessels. Phased in and out of normal space, attacking from angles that should have been impossible. Their weapons did not just destroy Devourer ships, but somehow prevented them from sending information back to their main fleet. Within hours, an entire Devourer scouting force had vanished without the main invasion fleet even knowing they had been destroyed. "How are you doing this?" Juan asked, staring at the tactical reports. "Every Devourer tactic, every Devourer weakness, every Devourer strategy has been studied and analyzed for 4 centuries, Meng He explained. "We know how they think, how they fight, how they die. They are facing an enemy that knows them better than they know themselves. On world after world, human forces that had been hiding as peaceful traitors. Teachers and researchers suddenly revealed their true nature. Weapon caches opened in major cities. Hidden bases activated throughout Council space. Millions of humans, who had seemed like harmless immigrants, transformed into highly trained soldiers who knew exactly where to strike for maximum effect. The Devourers had expected to find the galaxy. They had left behind full of species that fought with conventional tactics and simple weapons. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had spent 4 centuries learning how to kill them efficiently. "General," came a report from the fleet communications officer. "The main Devourer force is splitting into 17 attack groups. Just as our projections predicted, they are targeting the most heavily populated Council worlds. And our response? All human fleets are moving to intercept. Its estimated time to engagement, 6 hours. Meng He nodded. Everything was happening exactly as humanity had planned. The Devourers were following the same invasion pattern they had used 400 years ago, but this time their enemies were ready. "Admiral Juan," she said, turning back to the communication screen, "I need you to order all Council fleets to fall back to defensive positions around your home worlds. Do not engage the Devourers directly. Why not? I can fight alongside you, because you are not trained for this kind of war. Your people think in terms of territorial disputes and resource conflicts. The Devourers think in terms of total consumption. If Council ships engage them directly, you will be destroyed, and we will have to divert forces to rescue your survivors. Jiwan looked hurt and angry. You are treating us like children. No, Meng-He said gently. I am treating you like the people we have spent 400 years learning how to protect. Your job is to survive this war. Our job is to win it. The tactical display updated again, showing human fleets engaging Devourer forces across dozens of star systems simultaneously. What should have been desperate defensive battles looked more like carefully orchestrated hunts. Human ships moved, with perfect coordination, striking at precisely the right moments, using weapons and tactics that the Devourers had never seen before. They are not just fighting, G1 said in amazement. They are winning. Admiral, we are not just winning individual battles. We are systematically destroying an enemy that consumed hundreds of civilizations. Every Devourer ship we eliminate is one that can never again threaten innocent people. But how many do you have to destroy? Myung-Hee consulted her tactical reports. Initial estimates suggest the main Devourer fleet contains approximately 2 million combat vessels, plus support ships and manufacturing platforms. Total enemy forces, roughly 5 million ships. And you think you can defeat 5 million ships? Admiral, we have been building our fleet for 400 years. We have 8 million combat vessels, plus logistics and support. But more importantly, we have something the Devourers do not. What is that? We know this is not a war of conquest. This is a war of extinction. That they kill everyone in this galaxy, or we kill all of them. There is no middle ground, no negotiation, no surrender. This is exactly the kind of war that humanity excels at fighting. The communication channel filled with reports from across the galaxy. Human forces were not just defeating Devourer attacks, they were hunting down every single enemy ship with methodical thoroughness. No Devourer vessel was allowed to escape. No enemy base was left intact. No alien soldier was permitted to retreat and regroup. General G, one said quietly, what happens when this war is over? When this war is over, Admiral, humanity will go back to being the peaceful species we were before. The Devourers forced us to become something else. We will rebuild what was damaged, heal what was wounded, and help the galaxy return to normal. If we had refused to cooperate? If we had tried to stop your preparations? Myung-Hee was quiet for a long moment, watching human fleets systematically eliminate threats that had once conquered entire civilizations. Then you would have died with the rest of the galaxy, and humanity would have been alone again, she said finally. But that did not happen. You chose to trust us, even without knowing the full truth. Now you will live to see a galaxy where no species ever again has to fear the darkness that comes from beyond the stars. On the tactical display, another Devourer fleet disappeared under the coordinated assault of human forces that had waited for centuries for this exact moment. The hunters had finally found their prey. 5 years after the Devourer War ended, Ambassador Unesio walked through the corridors of the new galactic capital. Built in orbit around Earth, the massive station was a mixture of human engineering and council architecture, representing the new partnership that had emerged from the ashes of the old galaxy. The war had lasted only 4 years. But those 4 years had changed everything. Ambassador, called a familiar voice behind her. She turned to see Elder Kungmin, the old diplomat who had been one of the few council members to suspect that something was wrong with humanity from the beginning. He looked older now, but his eyes held a wisdom that came from seeing the universe. Completely transformed, Elder Kungmin, Unesio replied with genuine warmth. How are the integration reports coming along? Slowly he admitted. It is difficult to document the complete reorganization of galactic civilization. Every system, every world, every species has had to learn new ways of thinking about defense, about cooperation, about what it means to be truly safe. They walked together toward the observation deck, where they could look out at the bustling traffic around Earth. Human ships moved alongside council vessels, but the size difference was still shocking. Humanity's military had revealed itself to be larger than all council fleets combined. You ever wonder what would have happened? If we had listened to you in the beginning, Unesio asked. Kyung-Min smiled sadly. I think about it often. If the council had been more cautious, if we had investigated those strange electromagnetic readings more carefully, If we had asked better questions about human capabilities, we would have discovered the truth sooner. Yes, and then what? Would we have tried to stop humanity's preparations? Would we have demanded that they share their technology immediately? Would we have panicked and started a war between the species that should have been allies? He reached the observation deck and stood looking out at the incredible sight of the new galactic order. Earth's orbital shipyards stretched for thousands of kilometers, building not weapons of war, but vessels of exploration and trade. The emergency was over, and humanity was keeping its promise to return to being a peaceful species. The children adapt fastest, Unicio observed, watching young humans and council species playing together in the station's recreation areas. They accept the new reality without questioning it. Children always do, Kungmin agreed. It is the adults who struggle with learning that everything they believed was wrong. Historian Jamin appeared beside them, carrying datapads filled with research about the true scope of humanity's deception. He had spent the last 5 years documenting exactly how humans had managed to fool the entire galaxy for centuries. The final numbers are incredible, Jamin said without preamble. Every human colony ship that left Earth before first contact was actually a military vessel carrying enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Every human cultural exchange program was an intelligence-gathering operation. Every piece of human art shared with the galaxy contained detailed information about devourer weaknesses. And we never suspected, Unicio said. We saw exactly what they wanted us to see. Peaceful, primitive humans who were grateful for our guidance and eager to learn from our advanced civilization. Kungmin laughed, but it was not a bitter sound. Advanced civilization. We thought we were so sophisticated, so wise, believed we were helping backward species achieve their potential. Instead, we were being managed by people who had spent 4 centuries preparing for a war we did not even know was coming. They watched as a group of human engineers worked alongside council technicians to repair damage from the war. The cooperation was genuine now, no longer a carefully maintained deception. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and instead of conquering the galaxy, it was helping to rebuild it. The resource distribution records are particularly interesting, Jamin continued. Every mining operation, every trade agreement, every development zone was positioned exactly where humanity needed it for their war preparations. We thought we were exploiting primitive worlds for mutual benefit, and actually, we were building the supply lines and strategic positions that humanity would need to defend us. A young human girl ran past them, chasing a council child in what looked like a simple game of tag. But Unicio now knew that human children learned strategy and tactics through games that appeared to be innocent fun. Everything about human culture had layers of meaning that the council had completely missed. Do you think they were right to deceive us? Unicio asked. Kyung Dashmin considered the question carefully. What choice did they have? If they had revealed the truth about the Devourers, would we have believed them? If they had shown us their real military capabilities, would we have seen them as saviors or as threats? Probably as threats, Jamin admitted. The Council's first response to discovering an advanced human civilization would have been fear and suspicion. So they chose to let us believe we were in control while they prepared to save us from an enemy we had forgotten was real. And it worked, Unicio said. The Devourers are gone. It's not just defeated, but completely eliminated. Humanity hunted them down across the entire galaxy and made sure none of them survived to threaten anyone ever again. At the cost of 4 billion human lives, Kyungmin reminded them quietly. The number still made Unicio feel sick. Humanity had paid an enormous price for their victory. Entire human worlds had been sacrificed to draw devourer forces into traps. Millions of human soldiers had died in battles designed to save council species who still did not fully understand what was happening. It never asked us if we wanted to be saved, she said. Would it have mattered if they had? Jamin asked. The Devourers would have come whether we wanted them to or not. Humanity could have sealed themselves back into their solar system and waited for the rest of us to be consumed. Instead, they chose to fight for people who had spent 3 years, treating them like primitive children, because that is what humans do, said a new voice. They turned to see Dr. Kim, one of the human scientists who had worked with Yunji during the final preparations for war. He looked tired, like most humans did these days, but his eyes held satisfaction. Dr. Kim Unisio said, "I did not know. You were on the station." "I come here sometimes to remember what we were fighting for," he replied, looking out at the mixed population of humans and council species working together. "During the war, it was easy to focus on destroying the enemy. Now we have to remember how to build instead of how to kill." "Is it difficult?" Kyung-min asked. "Going back to being peaceful after 4 centuries of preparation for war. For some of us, yes, we have entire generations who were raised for one purpose. Now that purpose is fulfilled, and they must find new meanings for their lives. The others? The others remember what we were like before the devourers forced us to become hunters. We are glad to return to being explorers, scientists, artists, teachers, the things we always wanted to be." Jamin activated his datapad again. "Dr. Kim, I have been researching the early contact period," questions that council members asked. "The concerns that were raised," looking back, "it seems obvious that something was wrong." "What do you mean?" "The speed of human technological adaptation. The way human populations accepted alien contact without panic. The convenient locations of all your resource deposits. Elder Kyung-min even detected artificial patterns in your electromagnetic readings." Dr. Kim smiled. "We knew some of you suspected the truth. We had contingency plans for every possible discovery. If necessary, we could have revealed ourselves. Gradually, prepared the council for what was coming over several decades instead of several years." "Why did you not do that?" Unisio asked. "Because the devourers were already moving. Our deep space monitors detected their advanced scouts 18 months before the barrier fell. We had tried to gradually reveal the truth. There would not have been enough time to prepare proper defenses, so you chose the dramatic revelation instead. We chose the method that would save the most lives in the time we had available." They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the daily life of the new galaxy unfold around them. Children played while their parents worked. Traders from dozens of species negotiated deals that would have been impossible before the war. Engineers designed ships that could explore regions of space that had been too dangerous to visit while the existed. "The Academy students are particularly interesting," Jamin said eventually. "Young council members learning the real history of the galaxy. Do they resent being lied to?" "Some do," Dr. Kim admitted, "but most understand that the alternative was extinction. It is hard to be angry about deception when that deception saved your entire species." "And what did they learn about humanity? That we are not the peaceful species we pretended to be, and we are not the violent species we had to become. We are something in between, depending on what the situation requires." Unesio thought about the young students she had met, representatives of species that had almost been destroyed by an enemy they had forgotten existed. They were learning that the universe was more dangerous than they had believed, but also that there were people willing to fight to protect those who could not protect themselves. "The sealed world," she said suddenly. "That is what the devourers called Earth in their final transmissions." They were surprised to find that the sealed world had been opened, as Dr. Kim confirmed. They expected to find us still trapped, still isolated, still preparing for a war that they thought would never come. Instead, they found that we had opened our own prison and turned the entire galaxy into our fortress. And by the time they learned that Earth was no longer a sealed world, the damage was already done. Not to us, but to any hope they had of victory. Kyung-min looked thoughtful. "The title of our story, then?" "It has multiple meanings." "How so?" Unisio asked. "By the time the devourers learned Earth was no longer sealed, the damage to their invasion plans was done. By the time the Council learned the truth about humanity, the damage to our assumptions about the galaxy was done. By the time anyone understood what was really happening, everything had already changed. And now?" Kim smiled, watching human and Council children playing together under the light of Earth's sun. "Now we live with the consequences of 400 years of preparation, 3 years of deception, and 4 years of total war. We live in a galaxy that is safer than it has been for millennia, protected by people who spent centuries learning how to be the guardians no one else could be. The sealed world is open," Unesio said quietly. "Its children guard the stars. In the distance, A new ship launched from Earth's orbital yards, heading out toward the frontier regions where humanity had once again begun to explore instead of hunt. The age of hiding was over. The age of war was ended. The age of building something better had begun.